All right there, everyone. Great to be back with you. Bob Kudla is back with us at Trade Genius Academy. If you're not familiar with Bob, he started Trade Genius Academy back in 2015 after 25 years as an executive for two Fortune 500 companies in the financial services industry. And over the past 5 years, Bob has amassed a 65% overall win record in the market. And so in our past conversations, he's helped us make sense of, particularly financial sense of this coronavirus pandemic, of a post-pandemic economy, of a riot economy, of a post-riot economy, and now increasingly a post-election economy. And so today we're going to try to make some sense of things with this stock market whiz in terms of how he sees what's going on with this ongoing election and what to expect beyond. So Bob, welcome back. Great to have you here with us.
Yeah, thanks you, Dr. Steve. The Chinese proverb, "May we live in interesting times," it comes into focus here. So, how we're looking at it at Trade Genius is that we're making really one of three assumptions here. So the first assumption is that Trump pulls this out, and then we're going to go into what's more of a status quo, because he's not going to change his his point of view on what direction he wants to take for the economy, and he'll probably be in strong hands when he does that, because the Senate is likely to stay Republican. Okay, so let's assume that doesn't happen. Okay. So we have then two scenarios, one bad, the other one worse, is that Biden wins the presidency, but we keep the Senate, and we have a stronger position in the House. Then I think we're going to be in a situation where a lot of tomfoolery is going to happen at the executive order and the regulatory environment, and a lot of things will be heading up to the Supreme Court. And so it'll probably be I would say slightly depressive and deflationary, because there's just not going to be, the Senate and the House, at least the Republicans in the House, aren't going to want to give a victory to the Biden presidency, because they're going to be looking to basically do what they did to Trump.
Yeah.
The worst case scenario is if they win those special runoffs in Georgia and Biden wins, then things get real, because they're in a position where you're talking Chuck Schumer, AOC, the squad, all those people are out to basically fundamentally change the country. So, but what I think will probably happen is I think cooler heads will prevail in the Senate on the Democrat side to keep this country from being torn apart. You have Joe Manchin, who's a senator out of
West Virginia.
Yeah. And you got the new guy in Arizona, who's he'll be tottering as well. And I think those areas will be in Montana, the senators from Montana, that's Democrat. I think they'd be they're going to probably try to keep the governor on the craziness of the leftist coastal senators. So, but if that happens, so scenario one is deflationary. Scenario two is inflationary. Scenario three is chaos.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not going to know the third one until January. If the first one happens, the third one's moot. It won't matter.
Right.
If the second one happens, then we have to wait till January. It looks good though, because even with all the shenanigans in Georgia, neither one of those candidates could get within 2 percentage points of the Republican senators. And I think there's a lot of people in Georgia, the case will be watched. Every vote will absolutely be counted, correctly, because they'll just have 500 lawyers on each side. And so I think both those runoffs will end up being Republican. So it's hard to trade beyond a couple weeks out right now. So that's
right.
What we're doing. We're just trading a couple of days out. And something happened yesterday in the market. Today is Tuesday. I don't know when we're gonna release this, but on Monday, you had this weird scenario. We've been gapping up since November 1st. Gap up, gap up, gap up. What that means, every day the market opens higher than it closed the day before. That's unusual in itself for the broad market to do that, but it did it like 4 days in a row. Even with the election being contested, people were like scratching their heads. And then you had this Monday morning of almost a 4.75% gap up in the market, which is almost unheard of on vaccine news, which is like, okay, that's kind of weird. So we went ahead and we shorted that because we think, excuse me, I'm going to cough. we think that's what's called a dark shadow kind of a trade where you gap up and then we lost all the gains of that day. That usually presages a trend change in the market, a secular one. And I'm not talking theological secular. I'm talking about more longer lasting than just a cycle. And so it's probably saying, the market's probably saying Biden Republican Senate, okay, and people are going to start looking to cash in the chips. So that's how we're trading it, and we had really good trades. We were ready for that, and NASDAQ gave us a signal because it didn't go up like the SPY did, so we shorted NASDAQ. You always short the weak sister when a market does something that powerful. And then we end up, depending on when people got into trade, between 10 and 15% move in one day on our trades.
Wow.
So yeah, and it's not done yet. Today was kind of more of a consolidation day, but that gives us a hint that probably people are getting a little nervous, and even if Trump wins, they're probably thinking there's going to be chaos. The left will just go absolutely bonkers. So that's kind of why we're looking at it. The economy will survive a mixed Congress, and presidency. They're used to gridlock. I mean, not too many things can go good, nothing could go bad. I think the Democrats will be really afraid of screwing around with energy too much, because in 2 years they have a House vote, and a lot of these states are still run by Republicans. A lot of people don't realize that the Republicans lost nothing.
You're right.
Down vote, nothing. In fact, they gained,
right.
which makes the Trump thing even weirder. Okay, so but setting that aside for a second, there's a lot of states that you have census. Okay, with a lot of these states that like Michigan and Pennsylvania are losing population, so they're going to lose influence to the southern states. And at the same time, their legislatures are Republican, Michigan and Pennsylvania, and they're going to gerrymander some of these clowns out of the office, of the House of Representatives. So it's almost guaranteed that the House will go Republican in 2022. So the Democrats can't go too crazy here, or they'll risk like a Newt Gingrich, 1994 kind of a event.
Right, or 2010 or 2014. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I don't know if you heard Tom Tillis just got called the Republican for North Carolina Senate. They just called it for him, and Trump got North Carolina.
Yeah. So does that take the was he expected to win? Does that take the Senate out of the Democrats' hands?
No, they're one short. I think that gives them 49, 47, something. It gave 49, 48. I forget what it is, but yeah. Okay. So it's one short, and then I think if they get both Georgia seats, that'll be 51, if I recall. It might be 52. I have to see. If it is 52, then we're at 50 now. So, but we could have a tie, and then if Biden wins, then then Kamala becomes the head of the Senate. So
I know. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, it's
but it's not over yet. Yeah. So my view on this is that I'd be sad if Trump doesn't win, but what I don't want to have happen is that we don't follow through and make sure this kind of election never happens again.
Right.
So I hope they get knee deep in this thing and say this can't happen again. There has to be structural changes. And I think the Supreme Court needs to force that on the legislature, because they'll just ignore the process. The Supreme Court needs to say, this election needs to be federalized next year. It has to be next time. It needs to be standardized, yada yada yada. So you can't have the games that you had in Pennsylvania and Michigan and Nevada.
Oh, that's for sure. Especially when their neighboring states had all their results all wrapped up in a nice, package by 9 p.m. that day on election day, an hour after polls close. It looks we've got three trends here. We've got the legal challenges in the courts from the Trump legal team, the Dream Team, based on dozens of the signed affidavits of eyewitness testimony, all kinds of election illegalities. That's one. You got the justice agencies and legislatures now stepping in. So Bob Barr and the Justice Department, he's launching inquiries into voter fraud. FBI apparently has 3 cases right now that they've opened up. I think it's 2 in Michigan. We've got the Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Arizona legislatures now getting involved in audits, the ballots and the voting process, and that they're not supposed to certify the results until that audit is done. And then the third thing is you've got the Supreme Court stepping in to Pennsylvania, which would be very interesting. Sam Alito has done a little telegraphing there, saying that he thinks it's pretty blatant that the Pennsylvania Supreme Court violated the U.S. Constitution, and several courts actually, and or non-legislative agencies or officials tampered with the dates, the voting dates, and a lot of constitutional conservatives are coming in saying, whoa, Article 1, Section 4 says you only the legislature can set the day and the time for the vote. Anyone outside of that is illegitimate. So I mean, the point is we've got a lot going on right now at the legal level, at the justice level, at Supreme Court level. So this seems far from over.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm hopeful. I mean, if the Republicans were as cutthroat as the Democrats, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Arizona would be called for Trump by the legislature.
Right.
They wouldn't even blink.
Right.
But they have to let this play itself out. So, but I don't have the luxury of shoulda, woulda, coulda. So, and both of us being Christians, we're just ambassadors in this world anyway. So I just tell people that, look, hey, you're going to have to give unto Caesar, even if Caesar, Biden and Kamala, as long as they don't force you to do something that's against God's law,
right?
You're subject to their law. So just have to suck it up,
right?
And we did under Obama. I always laugh at people, when Trump got elected, they rioted. When Obama got elected, I went to work,
Well, same here. 71 million Republicans just saw their votes stolen, basically, and not a single riot, not a single city burned down.
Yeah. So, but it tells us more about us than it does about them. And,
right.
But anyway, I think people woke up though, I think, the left developed a woke scenario, but now I think I wouldn't call it the right, but I would call it more people are nationalists, I guess, is a better way. I think they woke up now too, saying, "Whoa, this is getting real."
It's a red pill moment, as we say.
Yeah, that's the best way of doing it. It is.
Yeah, especially the arrogance of the media and Fox News. Talk about investments now, right? I think we're looking for several new conservative media outlets. That might be a neat thing to invest in now.
Yeah, I mean, there's always lemonade. I mean, if Trump loses, I mean, he instantly becomes the number one media outlet in the country.
Trump TV, man, yeah.
Trump TV, and I mean, I feel bad for OANN and those other people, but I mean, he's going to suck the oxygen out of the room. Everybody's going to watch. Everybody who supports him are going to watch him to support him. Everybody who hates him are going to watch him to see what he says. So he's going to win, and that's the other reason why we're short Nasdaq too. Apple's way overvalued, and Amazon is going to get antitrust reviews pretty hard, and the other 3, Twitter, Facebook, and Google are going to be either they're going to have a legal jeopardy with their antitrust because the left doesn't like that either. Or the engagements are going to fall away. I mean, I'll make it a conscious decision to not support those platforms to the best of my ability. And I think you'll see a maturation in these alternate sites. So they pushed us into a situation where they're going to create their own competition, but the engagements are going to fall. And so you're going to see the value of those stocks go down. When those 5 stocks go down, Dr. Turley, the NASDAQ will plummet.
Wow.
And it'll take everything else with it because it's what's known as a market capitalization weighted index. So the more you're worth as a company, the more you can influence the index. So, that's why you look at Tesla. Tesla's influencing the index, right? That company's not making any money. In fact, they don't make any money on every car. So at some point, when this thing starts to roll downhill, it's like a snowflake that turns into an avalanche. So it's called the vicious cycle. So that's what we're watching at. So we're looking to short NASDAQ every chance it sets up, and then that our basis around that, and then either would be precious metals or industrial metals, depending if we get the deflation scenario or the inflation scenario.
Right. Speaking, and let me give you a couple of shout outs I have here that you gave us a backstory to. Thanks for the SLCA trade, Bob, plus 9.3%. What was that about there?
Yeah, this is an interesting stock. So, and you're going to talk about another one too, is on the other side. So before the election, I was watching 2 stocks. One is SLCA, which is a miner of fracking sand. And all of a sudden it hit our buy signal. And I said, that's good for Trump. So we went ahead and bought it, and then it just rocketed. So I'm like, when you get a trade that's 5-10% up in a day or two, you take profit in this market because there's no trend. And so that's what SLCA was. And somebody's just shouting me out for that trade. And then the next one you'll bring up there too is
there's 3 of them. Yeah, I took profits on CCJ, LAC, and PLG, and I'm done. I'm out of here. What was that?
Well, LAC is lithium, PLG is platinum, and CCJ is uranium. And so all of those were indicating an inflation trade, which was the trade for the Biden. And so when we got done with the fracking trade, we put on that trade, and they all shot up, and we took profit on all that stuff. And we got out of all that before the election. In fact, and all of them are down except for, ironically, SLCA rocketed yesterday. I mean, it rocketed up like 20%. We missed it. It was just so fast we couldn't chase it, which means to tell me, either they think fracking's not going to get touched or that Trump's going to win again. So that's the way I look at these. You look at these tells, what companies are moving, what companies aren't moving. And then, but that's where the shout outs were. And then I had a whole bunch on we had SQQQ as basically triple short NASDAQ. So if you trade with us and you join us, which quite a few have been coming over from your side here, Steve, is we'll be doing a lot of the trades on the short NASDAQ side. So come join us and take advantage of our bundles. And, we really discounted them really good for Thanksgiving specials for your listeners. We moved the date up to Saturday. Nice. And so they get 65% off, and use Thanksgiving as a promo code if they want to buy anything individually. And just so people know, we trade more than stocks. We not only really talk stocks, but we also trade cryptocurrencies, which have done it phenomenally well. And if your listeners have interest in that, you and I could talk about that in future interviews, but phenomenally well. And we could talk about why that is. And then also we day trade too. So we're day trading in the market, and we have toolkits for each of those programs. And so depending on what bundle they get special tools from us to be able to trade, in addition to us teaching you how to do it, in addition to us actually giving you trades. So people trading other things using our tools that they have access to as a subscriber. It doesn't really matter what you trade. So a lot of fun right now because, if you notice, cryptos have been going nuts. Day trading has been great. And then the equity trades have been just, we just haven't, they've been rock solid for us.
That's fantastic. Wow. That's it. Yep. You got it. There's that perfect storm, getting it from all different angles.
Yeah.
Fantastic, Bob. This is great. Well, I can't thank you enough in helping us to think more clearly about things here, especially financially. You've been very generous with your time. How can people get in touch with you? They want to learn more. We'll certainly have all the information clicked down below, but if there's a phone number or anything they can get in touch with you with.
Yeah, just go to tradelikeagenius.com and you can find us there. The phone number's on there. I don't have it memorized, but
I don't have ours either memorized.
Yeah, so it's tradelikeagenius.com, and just you could chat with us, you could phone us. It's right on the front. You can email us, and we'd be happy to help you. A lot of people are really interested now because people don't know where to go. And the nice thing about what we do is that we care personally, but professionally we don't care. So we just simply follow where the buying momentum. They give you signals. So people is very little things are a surprise in the stock market. You see big money can't tiptoe around. They leave footprints. And so you can see the motion happening. And from that, you can go ahead and get positioned in trades. And that's all we do. That's all our system looks at. It sees the tiptoeing and sees the footprints, and we just take advantage of it. And the other thing too, I just always say, we're not Lambo people. We're not saying you hey, join us, you'll be rich in a week. You know, this is your tools for the rest of your life.
Right.
And then, you know, we just say get rich, but you'll get rich slowly. It's just, you just grind it out every day and you'll do quite well. I mean, some days you'll do spectacularly, but most days we're singles and doubles, and you'll build a really nice portfolio over time. And you feel in control. You know, people feel out of control now. This is a way to feel in control.
Yeah, and that's the way to do it too, isn't it? Just make it a habitual part of your life, just a little bit each day. And so you're always moving forward, learning, and growing up with the market, as it were. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then one last shout out. I'm a Marine. Happy birthday to any other Marines listening, because we're talking on the 10th. It's our birthday today, 245 years.
Awesome. Oh, my Semper Fi. There you go.
Do or die. Thanks
Do
a lot.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for your service, my friend.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, and thank you very much, Bob. Thanks. Really, you're very appreciated. We get a lot of wonderful feedback on your time here on the channel, giving so much clarity, and Trade Genius is just a wonderful resource. So thank you so much once again.
No, thank you.